Damn it! Oh, shit!
Super Typhoon Bavi struck the Western Pacific as a Category 5 equivalent storm, with sustained winds reaching around 180 miles per hour or approximately 290 kilometers per hour, making it one of the most powerful tropical systems to impact Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands in recent years. The extreme intensity of the storm brought life-threatening conditions across multiple islands as it moved through the region. The system rapidly intensified over warm ocean waters before approaching land, strengthening into a super typhoon as atmospheric conditions remained highly favorable. Meteorologists closely tracked its development as it moved toward the Mariana Islands. As the storm neared the islands, emergency authorities issued urgent warnings for Guam, Rota, Saipan, and Tinian. Residents were instructed to stay indoors, secure property, and prepare for prolonged hazardous weather conditions. The first and most severe direct impact was recorded on the island of Rota, which was located closest to the storm's core. As the eye wall passed over or very near the island, conditions quickly deteriorated into violent winds and torrential rain. On Rota, officials reported what they described as major damage across several areas. Early assessments indicated structural damage to buildings, widespread fallen trees, and debris scattered across roads, making transportation extremely difficult. A telecommunications tower on Rota was also reported to have collapsed during the storm, leading to disruptions in mobile phone service and limiting communication between residents and emergency response teams during the height of the event. power infrastructure on the island was heavily affected, with multiple outages reported as strong winds damaged electrical lines. Repair crews were unable to begin restoration work immediately due to ongoing dangerous weather conditions. In addition to structural damage, Rota also experienced localized flooding caused by persistent heavy rainfall. Low-lying areas were especially affected as water accumulated on roads and residential zones. Further west, Guam experienced significant indirect impacts as the outer rain bands of the super typhoon swept across the island. Strong wind gusts and continuous rainfall created hazardous conditions throughout much of the territory. In Guam's capital area of Hagatnya and surrounding villages such as Dededo and Tamuning, residents reported street flooding, reduced visibility, and travel difficulties due to rising water levels in certain locations. Power outages were reported in multiple parts of Guam as the storm strained the island's electrical grid. Some neighborhoods experienced intermittent blackouts, while others faced complete power loss during peak wind periods. Officials also noted temporary disruptions to water systems in some districts, as pumping stations and infrastructure were affected by power fluctuations. Emergency services prioritized essential facilities such as hospitals and evacuation shelters. Saipan, the largest island in the Northern Mariana Islands, experienced strong winds exceeding 100 miles per hour in some areas. These conditions led to fallen trees, minor structural damage, and scattered debris across roads. In Saipan's main populated areas such as Garapan and Susupe, residents faced heavy rain and gusty winds that made outdoor movement dangerous. Some roads were temporarily blocked due to flooding and downed vegetation. Tinian, located further south, also experienced severe weather as the typhoon passed through the region. The island saw periods of intense rainfall and strong winds that resulted in localized flooding and minor property damage.
Ang lakas niya, oh. Lakas pa din, oh.
Authorities across the Northern Mariana Islands emphasized that while the severity varied by island, all communities experienced some level of impact, whether from direct winds or extended rain bands.
Bye-bye banana tree.
Transportation across the region was heavily disrupted. Flights in and out of Guam International Airport were delayed or suspended, while maritime operations were paused due to dangerous sea conditions and poor visibility. Schools, government offices, and non-essential services were closed across affected islands as a precautionary measure. These closures helped reduce public exposure during the most dangerous phase of the storm.
Ay, basag na ang kotse namin.
Meteorologists noted that super typhoons of this intensity can produce sudden changes in conditions, and even areas outside the direct path of the eye wall can still experience damaging winds and flooding rains. As the system moved away from the Mariana Islands, emergency teams began initial damage assessments. Their focus shifted towards clearing roads, restoring electricity, and evaluating structural safety across affected communities. Although the full extent of the damage is still being assessed, early reports indicate that Rota suffered the most severe impact, while Guam, Saipan, and Tinian experienced varying but still significant levels of disruption. Super Typhoon Bavi highlights the extreme power of Pacific tropical cyclones, and recovery efforts across Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands are expected to continue in the coming days as conditions gradually improve.